Shadows in the crowd. Chapter 1. The Flames of Dissent. The city was ablaze, not with fire, but with the fervor of dissent. As I stood amidst the sea of protesters, my heart pounded in sync with the chants that filled the air. We were united, a force to be reckoned with, a voice that demanded to be heard. Suddenly, the air grew tense. The police had arrived, their stern faces a stark contrast to the passionate crowd. I could feel the danger, the threat of violence hanging heavy in the air. It was time to run. As I darted through the crowd, my heart pounded in my chest. Fear and adrenaline coursed through my veins, pushing me forward, urging me to escape. The city I knew so well had turned into a maze, its familiar streets now a battleground. In the midst of the chaos, I spotted her. A girl, no older than I was, her eyes filled with a strange mix of fear and determination. She offered me a hiding place, a chance to escape the madness. Grateful and intrigued, I followed her, disappearing into the shadows. Chapter 2. A Chance Encounter. In the safety of the shadows, I took a moment to catch my breath. The adrenaline from the chase was slowly subsiding, replaced by a sense of surreal calm. The girl, Julie, she said her name was, watched me with curious eyes. There was something about her, a kind of quiet strength, that drew me in. Her presence was comforting, a beacon of light in the midst of chaos. Over the next few days, we stayed hidden, moving from one place to another, always one step ahead of the authorities. The city I once knew like the back of my hand had turned into a treacherous labyrinth, but Julie navigated it with an uncanny ease. It was as if she knew exactly where to go, where to hide, where to blend in. We shared stories to pass the time, our voices barely above a whisper. I told her about my life, about the protest, about the injustice we were fighting against. I told her about my friends, brave souls who dared to stand up against the government. In return, she shared her own stories, tales of resilience and hope that resonated with my own experiences. I found myself opening up to her, drawn to her warmth and understanding. There was a sense of camaraderie between us, a bond forged in the crucible of shared adversity. I saw in her a kindred spirit, a fellow warrior in the fight for justice. One day, I decided to introduce her to my fellow protesters. I trusted her, believed in her. I saw in her a comrade, a friend, a beacon of hope in these dark times. As I made the decision, I felt a sense of optimism, unaware of the twists and turns that lay ahead in our journey. Chapter 3. New Bonds. The day I introduced Julie to my fellow protesters was a day of mixed emotions. There was a sense of camaraderie, a shared understanding that we were all in this together. But there was also a sense of trepidation, a fear of the unknown. We were, after all, a group of rebels, living on the edge, always one step away from danger. Julie fit right in. She listened to our stories, our plans, our dreams of a better future. She shared her own experiences, her own hopes and fears. There was a sense of mutual respect, a shared understanding that we were all fighting for the same cause. As the days turned into weeks, our bond grew stronger. We were more than just a group of protesters. We were a family, bound by a shared purpose, a shared struggle. Julie was a part of that family. She was one of us. But as we grew closer, I couldn't shake off a nagging feeling. A feeling that something was off. I dismissed it as paranoia, a side effect of living on the edge. But little did I know, my instincts were trying to warn me of a storm that was about to hit. Chapter 4. Shattered Trust. The storm hit without warning. The day started like any other, filled with plans and discussions about our next move. But by the end of it, everything had changed. It was Julie. She was the storm. The revelation about her true identity came like a bolt out of the blue. She was a government spy. She had betrayed us, betrayed me. The news hit me like a punch to the gut, leaving me winded and disoriented. I couldn't believe it. I didn't want to believe it. But the evidence was right there, undeniable and damning. My friends, my comrades, were arrested. Their dreams of a better future crushed under the weight of betrayal. I felt a sense of despair wash over me, a feeling of utter helplessness. I had trusted Julie, let her into our lives, into our plans. And she had used that trust against us. As I sat alone in the shadows, the weight of the betrayal pressing down on me, I couldn't help but wonder, how could I have been so blind? How could I have missed the signs? Chapter 5. The weight of betrayal. In the aftermath of the revelation, I found myself in a cold, harsh cell. The safe haven we had built was no more, replaced by the chilling reality of prison. My friends were here too, all of us arrested because of a betrayal from within our ranks. I felt a profound sense of loss, a grief that was all-consuming. But more than that, I felt a burning anger. Anger at Julie for her betrayal. Anger at myself for being so naive. I had trusted her, and that trust had cost us our freedom. As the days turned into weeks, I found myself lost in a sea of despair. The world outside continued to move, oblivious to our plight. But we were stuck, trapped in a moment of betrayal that had shattered our world. I had lost everything. My friends, my purpose, my trust. But in the midst of the despair, I found something. A resolve, a determination to fight back. To not let Julie's betrayal be the end of our story. As I sat alone in my cell, the weight of the betrayal pressing down on me, I made a vow. A vow to fight, to carry on the legacy of my fallen comrades. Because the fight for justice, for a better future, was far from over.
Cybert Rex Monster Hunter. Chapter 1. The City of Tomorrow. Neo-Tokyo, a beacon of technological advancement, shimmered under the neon lights. Skyscrapers stretched towards the sky, their glass facades reflecting the city's vibrant energy. But beneath this facade of progress and prosperity, a shadow of fear loomed. Monster attacks were a grim reality in this city of the future. The government, desperate to protect its citizens, had been working on a secret project. Today was the day they would unveil it. As the sun set, painting the sky in hues of orange and purple, an announcement echoed through the city. Citizens gathered around screens, their faces reflecting a mix of curiosity and apprehension. The broadcast showed the city's defense headquarters. Then, with a dramatic flair, they revealed it. A giant T-Rex robot. It stood tall and majestic, a symbol of hope against the monstrous threats. The crowd erupted in cheers, their fear momentarily replaced with awe and excitement. Little did they know, this was just the beginning. Chapter 2. The Guardian Rises. The following day, the city woke to an ominous rumble. A monster had emerged from the depths of the ocean, its grotesque form casting a shadow over Neo-Tokyo. Panic ensued, but amidst the chaos, the city's new guardian was ready for its first real test. The T-Rex robot, now known as Titan, was stationed at the city's defense headquarters. Its pilot, a fearless warrior named Hiroshi, climbed into the cockpit, his heart pounding with a mix of adrenaline and determination. He had trained for this moment, but facing the monster in reality was a different beast altogether. As Hiroshi maneuvered Titan towards the monster, the city watched with bated breath. The first clash was monumental, shaking the city to its core. Titan held its ground, its mechanical muscles straining against the monster's brute force. The battle raged on, each blow from Titan sending shockwaves through the city. Hiroshi, despite the intensity of the battle, remained focused. He had one goal: protect his city. With a final, powerful strike, Titan managed to repel the monster, sending it retreating back into the ocean. The city erupted in cheers. Their guardian had triumphed. Hiroshi, exhausted but victorious, let out a sigh of relief. As he looked out over the city, He knew this was just the beginning. The real battle was yet to come. Chapter 3. Titan Trials. The monster attacks didn't cease. They became more frequent, more intense. Each battle tested Titan and me, pushing us to our limits. But with each fight, we grew stronger, more synchronized. Titan was not just a machine, it was an extension of me, and I was its heart and mind. One battle, in particular, stood out. A monster, larger and more ferocious than any we had faced before, attacked the city. It was a grueling fight. Titan and I pushed to the brink of our capabilities. But we held on, fought back, and eventually, the monster retreated. That battle was a turning point. It solidified our resolve, our determination to protect Neo-Tokyo. But it wasn't just the physical battles that were challenging. It was the emotional toll as well. The fear in the eyes of the citizens, the destruction left in the wake of the battles, the constant threat of another attack. It was a heavy burden to bear. Yet, amidst the trials and tribulations, a bond formed. A bond between a man and a machine. A bond forged in the heat of battle. Titan and I, we were in this fight together. And together, we would face whatever came our way. Chapter 4. The Monster Within. The day came when we faced a monster unlike any other. It was colossal, its roar echoing through the city, instilling fear in the hearts of even the bravest. Titan and I stood our ground, ready to protect Neo-Tokyo at all costs. The battle was fierce. Each blow we landed seemed to have little effect on the monster. It retaliated with a force that sent Titan stumbling back, the impact jarring me within the cockpit. Titan was severely damaged, and I could feel our strength waning. In that desperate moment, something within Titan awakened. A hidden power, lying dormant, surged to life. It coursed through Titan, repairing the damages, enhancing its capabilities. I could feel it, a raw, primal energy that echoed the ferocity of the T-Rex it was modeled after. With renewed vigor, we charged at the monster. Each strike was more powerful than before, each movement more agile. The tide of the battle turned in our favor. With a final, resounding roar, Titan landed a decisive blow, sending the monster retreating. As the dust settled, I sat in the cockpit, panting heavily. We had tapped into a power unknown, a monster within Titan. But it had saved us, saved the city. As I looked out at the relieved faces of the citizens, I knew we had won the battle. But the war was far from over. Chapter 5. Clash of the Titans. The final showdown arrived sooner than expected. The strongest monster yet emerged from the ocean, its eyes fixed on Neo-Tokyo. Titan and I stood ready, the city's last line of defense. The battle was unlike any other. The monster was relentless, its attacks threatening to overwhelm us. But we fought back, Titan's newfound power giving us the edge we needed. The city watched as their guardian clashed with the monstrous threat, the outcome uncertain. In the heat of the battle, I could feel Titan's energy waning. We were reaching our limit. But the sight of Neo-Tokyo, the city we vowed to protect, gave us the strength to push on. With a final, desperate charge, we struck the monster, forcing it back into the ocean from whence it came. Exhausted but victorious, I guided Titan back to the city. The cheers of the citizens filled the air, their relief palpable. We had done it. We had protected our city. As I climbed out of Titan, I looked up at the machine that had become an extension of me. We had faced trials and tribulations, fought monsters, and protected our city. But our fight was far from over. As long as monsters threatened Neo-Tokyo, we would be there, ready to fight. For we were Titan, the guardian of Neo-Tokyo.
Lost Among the Stars. Chapter 1. The Unplanned Voyage. Ava, a skilled satellite technician, was no stranger to the risks of her job. She had always been fascinated by the vast expanse of space, its silent beauty, and the intricate dance of celestial bodies. Today was supposed to be a routine repair mission. Just another day in the life of a satellite technician. Her mission was to repair a malfunctioning communication satellite. The satellite, a vital link in the global communication network, had been experiencing intermittent signal loss. Ava was tasked with identifying and fixing the issue. As she maneuvered her spacecraft towards the satellite, she felt a sense of calm. The silence of space, broken only by the soft hum of her spacecraft, was a welcome respite from the constant noise of the ground station. She expertly navigated her way, her every move precise and deliberate. Suddenly, without warning, an accident occurred. A rogue piece of space debris, a remnant from an old satellite, collided with her spacecraft. The impact was sudden and violent, sending her spacecraft spinning uncontrollably. Ava felt a jolt of fear as she was flung from her spacecraft, her tether snapping from the force of the collision. She watched in horror as her spacecraft, now damaged and leaking fuel, drifted away from her. She was alone, adrift in the vast expanse of space. The silence, once comforting, now seemed oppressive. The beauty of space, now a cold and indifferent void. As she drifted further into the unknown, she wondered what fate awaited her in the endless expanse of space. Chapter 2. Drifting into the unknown. Ava was now adrift in the vast expanse of space, her spacecraft a distant speck against the backdrop of the cosmos. The initial shock of the accident had given way to a deep-seated fear. She was alone, with only her thoughts and the endless starry void for company. Her mind raced as she grappled with her new reality. She was a satellite technician, not an astronaut. She had never been trained for a situation like this. Her survival skills were limited to what she had learned in basic training, and they seemed woefully inadequate now. She felt a profound sense of loneliness. The silence of space was deafening, a constant reminder of her isolation. She missed the hustle and bustle of the ground station, the chatter of her colleagues, the comforting hum of machinery. Here, there was nothing but silence. Fear gnawed at her, a constant companion in her solitude. She was acutely aware of the vastness of space, the infinite expanse stretching out in all directions. She felt small and insignificant, a tiny speck adrift in the cosmos. But amidst the fear and loneliness, Ava found a sliver of hope. She was still alive, still breathing. She had always been a fighter, and she wasn't about to give up now. She resolved to do whatever it took to survive, to keep going, to keep fighting. Chapter 3 First Contact. Just when Ava was on the brink of despair, she encountered an alien civilization unlike anything she could have imagined. These beings were incorporeal, existing without physical bodies. Their consciousness spread out across the cosmos. It was a concept that was hard for Ava to grasp, a reality far removed from her own. The first contact was disorienting, a rush of alien thoughts and emotions flooding her mind. Fear gripped her, a primal reaction to the unknown. But as the initial wave of panic subsided, Ava found herself intrigued. She began to communicate with these beings, her fear slowly replaced by a growing sense of curiosity. The aliens were equally fascinated by Ava. They had never encountered a being with a physical form before, and they were eager to learn about her, about humanity, about Earth. Ava found herself sharing her experiences, her thoughts, her emotions. She spoke of her life on Earth, of her family and friends, of her dreams and hopes. As Ava communicated with these incorporeal beings, she found a new sense of purpose. She was no longer just a stranded astronaut. She was a bridge between two civilizations. She was their link to the physical world, and they were her link to a universe far beyond her own. Chapter 4 Coexistence. As Ava spent more time with the incorporeal aliens, she began to learn how to coexist with them. She shared her knowledge about Earth and humanity, telling them about her life, her experiences, her dreams. In return, they shared their advanced technology and cosmic wisdom with her. The exchange was enlightening for both parties. Ava learned about technologies and concepts far beyond anything she had ever imagined. She learned about the aliens' way of life, about their thoughts and emotions, about their understanding of the universe. It was a humbling experience, one that made her realize just how small and insignificant she was in the grand scheme of things. But the aliens were equally fascinated by Ava. They were intrigued by her physical form, by her thoughts and emotions, by her experiences. They were eager to learn more about her, about humanity, about Earth. They were fascinated by her stories, by her experiences, by her dreams and hopes. With their help, Ava was able to repair her satellite and plan her return journey. She was no longer just a stranded astronaut. She was a bridge between two civilizations, a link between the physical and the incorporeal. Chapter 5 Return Journey. Unable to repair the satellite due to its loss, Ava began her journey back to Earth. As she moved away from the alien consciousness, she felt a sense of loss. She had grown accustomed to their presence, their thoughts, their emotions. They had become a part of her, and leaving them behind was harder than she had anticipated. But along with the sense of loss, Ava also felt a sense of hope. She was returning home, carrying with her the knowledge and wisdom she had gained from the aliens. She was eager to share this knowledge with the world, to tell them about the incredible beings she had encountered, about the wonders of the universe. As Ava traveled through the vast emptiness of space, she couldn't help but look back at the stars, at the alien consciousness she had left behind. She felt a sense of gratitude, a sense of awe. She had been given a glimpse into a world far beyond her own, a world full of wonder and mystery. And so, Ava journeyed on, her heart filled with hope and determination. She was ready to face whatever challenges awaited her on Earth, ready to share her story with the world.
The Last Battle of Grunior. Chapter 1. The Old Warrior. Grunior, the old grey orc, sat alone on a jagged rock, his gaze fixed on the setting sun. His once vibrant green skin had faded to a dull grey, and his muscular frame had shrunk with age. His eyes, however, still held the fiery spirit of a warrior. His life had been one of endless battles and conquests, a testament to the orcish way of life. He had led his clan to numerous victories, his name echoing in the war cries of his kin. But now, as his strength waned, he felt a strange sense of unease. His days were no longer filled with the thrill of battle, but with the mundane tasks of survival. He hunted less, his once swift movements now slow and measured. He spent his days carving intricate patterns into bones, a pastime that offered him some solace. The younger orcs, full of vigor and thirst for battle, saw him as a relic of the past. They respected him, but he could see the hunger in their eyes, the desire to prove themselves. He understood it, for he had once been the same. But Grunyor knew that strength was not just in the swing of a sword or the throw of a spear. It was in the unity of the clan, the shared spirit of survival. And as he watched the sun dip below the horizon, he couldn't shake off the feeling that a storm was coming. His old bones ached, a sign of a change in the weather, or perhaps a change in the wind of fate. The old warrior knew that his greatest battle was yet to come, not one of blood and steel, but one of unity and survival. As the last rays of the sun disappeared, Grunyor rose from his seat, his joints protesting with each movement. He looked at the vast expanse of their homeland, a sense of determination burning in his eyes. He would face this challenge as he had faced every other, head on. With that thought, he turned and walked back towards the camp, ready to face the trials of the coming days. The old warrior might have been gray and worn, but he was not yet defeated. Chapter 2. The Gathering Storm. Whispers of an impending human invasion had begun to circulate among the orc clans. Grunyor heard them too, the hushed conversations, the rumors spreading like wildfire. He saw the fear in the eyes of his kin, a fear he shared. The humans had always been a threat, their kingdoms expanding, their armies growing stronger. But the orcs had always managed to hold them off, their warrior spirit and fierce determination a formidable defense. But now, things were different. The orc clans were divided, their unity shattered by internal conflicts and power struggles. Grunyor saw the danger they were in, the vulnerability that their disunity brought. If the humans attacked now, they would be easy prey. He tried to speak to the clan leaders, to warn them of the impending danger. But his words fell on deaf ears, dismissed as the ramblings of an old orc. They were too consumed by their own power struggles to see the bigger picture. Grunyor felt a sense of frustration, a burning anger at the stubbornness of his kin. But he also felt a sense of responsibility, a duty to protect his people. He had led them to victory in the past, and he would do so again. He began to formulate a plan, a way to unite the clans against the common enemy. It would not be easy, he knew. The old rivalries and grudges ran deep, and it would take more than a few words to erase them. But Grunyor was not one to back down from a challenge. He had faced greater odds in his life, and he was not about to give up now. The old warrior had one last battle to fight, and he would give it his all. As the rumors of the invasion grew louder, so did Grunyor's determination. He knew that the storm was coming, and he would do everything in his power to prepare his people for it. The old grey orc was not done yet. Chapter 3. The Call to Arms. Grunyor stood in the center of the gathering, his gaze sweeping over the sea of orc faces. He had called for a gathering of all the clans, a feat that had not been achieved in many years. The air was thick with tension, the old rivalries and grudges simmering just below the surface. He took a deep breath, his voice echoing across the clearing as he began to speak. His words were simple, his message clear. They were all orcs, brothers and sisters in arms, and they faced a common enemy. He spoke of the impending human invasion, of the danger they all faced. He spoke of the disunity among the clans, the internal conflicts that had weakened them. And he urged them to put aside their differences, to unite against the common enemy. His speech was passionate, his words carrying the weight of his years and his experiences. He spoke not as a clan leader, but as an orc, a warrior who had seen the horrors of war and the price of disunity. His words resonated with the orcs, their gruff voices murmuring in agreement. They saw the truth in his words, the urgency of his message. And for the first time in many years, they saw a glimmer of unity among the clans. The gathering ended with a roar of approval, the orcs raising their weapons in a show of solidarity. Grunyor's heart swelled with pride, his old eyes glistening with unshed tears. He had done it, he had united the clans. But he knew that the real battle was yet to come. The humans were a formidable enemy, their armies vast and their weapons deadly. But the orcs were warriors, born and bred for battle. And united, they were a force to be reckoned with. As the gathering dispersed, Grunyor stood alone, his gaze fixed on the setting sun. The storm was coming, and they were ready to face it. The old grey orc had done his part, and now, it was up to the rest. Chapter 4. The battle begins. The dawn broke with the sound of war horns, the human armies advancing towards the orc lands. The ground shook under the weight of their march, their banners fluttering in the wind. The battle had begun. Grunyor stood at the front of the orc lines, his old eyes watching the approaching enemy. He felt a surge of adrenaline, the old warrior spirit within him burning bright. He had faced many battles in his life, but this one was different. This was not just a battle for land or power, but a battle for survival. With a roar, he led the charge, the united orc clans following him into battle. The clash of steel against steel echoed across the battlefield, the air filled with the cries of warriors and the scent of blood. The humans were strong, their numbers vast. But the orcs fought with a ferocity that only desperation could bring. They fought for their lands, for their kin, for their very existence. And they fought under the leadership of Grunyor, the old grey orc who had united them. The battle raged on, the tide of war shifting with each passing hour. But the orcs held their ground, their unity giving them strength. They fought as one, a single entity against the human onslaught. Grunyor fought at the front lines, his old body moving with a speed and agility that belied his years. He cut down enemy soldiers with each swing of his axe, his warrior spirit undiminished by the chaos around him. As the sun began to set, the human armies began to retreat, their numbers dwindling. The orcs cheered, their roars of victory echoing across the battlefield. They had held their ground, they had fought back the enemy. But Grunyor knew that the war was far from over. The humans would regroup, they would come back stronger. But so would the orcs. They had faced the enemy, they had tasted victory. And they would be ready for the battles to come. Chapter 5. The Aftermath. The battlefield was silent, the echoes of war fading into the night. The orc clans gathered around the fires, their faces lit by the flickering flames. They were warriors, their bodies bearing the scars of battle, their spirits unbroken. Grunyor sat alone, his gaze fixed on the dying embers of the fire. The battle was over, but the war was far from over. The humans would return, their armies regrouped, their resolve strengthened. But the orcs would be ready. He thought back to the gathering, to the sea of orc faces looking up at him. He had united them, brought them together under a common cause. He had seen the spark of unity in their eyes, the determination in their hearts. They were more than just clans, they were a family. He knew the road ahead was fraught with danger, the future uncertain. But he also knew that they were stronger together, that their unity was their greatest strength. They had faced the enemy, they had stood their ground. And they would do so again. As he looked around at the orc clans, he felt a sense of pride. They were warriors, born and bred for battle. But they were also more than that. They were a community, a family. And they would fight for each other, for their lands, for their future. The old gray orc closed his eyes, his thoughts drifting to the battles to come. He knew the war was far from over, that there would be more battles, more losses. But he also knew that they would face them together, as one. In the silence of the night, under the starlit sky, Grunyor made a vow. He would lead the orc clans. He would guide them through the war. He would fight for them, for their future. And he would never let them stand alone.